Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I'm John Carroll in for Maya Trabulsi. San Diego Unified School leaders are expressing frustration at how close federal immigration operations are getting to its schools. KPBS reporter Tammy Murga says that's after agents detained a parent yesterday afternoon.
San Diego district officials say the father of a Linda Vista Elementary student was waiting near campus for his child to be dismissed.
It didn't happen on school grounds, but it happened close enough to our community to feel its impact.
Superintendent Fabiola Bagula says the father told federal agents he was worried about who would pick up his child.
The Department of Homeland Security contacted our school's principal, Dr. Miriam Atlas, after the father was detained. She had the difficult responsibility of contacting the child's mother to inform her what happened. The mother was able to pick up the child from school.
Neighbors who spoke to KPBS off camera say they've noticed fewer parents at pickup lately. School officials say the family's experience has left the community with questions and fear.
How do we expect our parents to stay focused, our students to stay focused on learning when they have to worry about their parents and family members not feeling safe right outside this door?
Sabrina Bazo is a district trustee. She says fewer students were at school on Friday than usual as a result of Thursday's incident. KPBS contacted the Department of Homeland Security asking about the father's identity and the reason for the detention. DHS did not immediately respond to those or other questions about operations near schools. Thursday's incident comes after another parent was arrested outside Camarena Elementary School in Chula Vista last week. DHS says the woman was arrested because her visa had expired. Tammy Murga, KPBS News.
U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin coming together Friday for a high-stakes summit in Alaska. The world leaders were set to discuss a possible end to the war in Ukraine. Maribel Gonzalez reports.
As Russian missile strikes continue Friday in Ukraine, the world is watching two leaders come together in Anchorage, Alaska, hoping their meeting can bring an end to the violence.
We get along. There's a good respect level on both sides, and I think, something's going to come of it.
Speaking from Air Force One en route to the summit, President Donald Trump said they will discuss the Russian-occupied territory, but he is not in a position to agree to any territorial swaps between Russia and Ukraine.
I'm not here to negotiate for Ukraine. I'm here to get them at a table.
Trump has threatened Russia with, quote, very severe consequences if their president, Vladimir Putin, doesn't agree to end the war. Notably absent from the summit, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
Putin is determined only to present a meeting with America as his personal victory.
If the summit goes well, Trump has suggested organizing a trilateral meeting with Zelensky and Putin.
I think that it is most likely that Putin will recognize that he's in a bit of a difficult position.
Less optimistic, the people of Ukraine, weary from more than 3 years of war with their neighbor.
I think these will just be empty promises.
I don't expect anything. First, because Trump's position changes faster than he can talk about it.
I don't know what the negotiations will give me. I want peace and quiet. That's the most important thing.
In Anchorage, Alaska, I'm Maribel Gonzalez.
Tonight, more of our usual here. We have a fairly thick marine layer coming in, partly cloudy with 65 for the low in the city. But don't get used to some of the comfort that we've had because we are going to see the numbers go up. More in the full forecast coming up.
San Diego has approved a new housing development across the street from a South Bay trolley station. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says more than a quarter of the homes will be affordable.
This 14-acre site in the Nestor community could soon be home to 380 apartments. The Bellamar Apartments project will feature rentals from 1 to 3 bedrooms across from the Palm Avenue trolley station. The San Diego Planning Commission approved the project on Thursday. 100 of the homes will be affordable to low-income renters. Manny Rodriguez is executive director of the transit advocacy group Ride SD. He says affordable housing near high-quality transit makes it easier to live without a car.
This would just help people save money, both on rent and on transportation, which is more money that can go to, food on the table, to investing in their children, and also just giving back to the local businesses in the community.
The project is closely aligned with San Diego's Climate Action Plan, which calls for a lot more housing near public transit stops. Even still, it took more than 6 years to get approved. It required a rezoning, an environmental impact report, and approvals from the City Council, Planning Commission, and California Coastal Commission. Colin Parent, CEO of Circulate San Diego, says those long approval timelines are part of why California has a housing shortage. But he gives credit to San Diego, which approves housing much faster than its peers.
This is, I think, becoming more of an outlier for kinds of projects, at least in the city of San Diego. The troubling thing is that outside of the city of San Diego, this kind of really burdensome, long, multi-year process is actually quite common in California. And so those are some things where we need to be seeing some change.
The project is bordered by Otay Valley Regional Park. As a condition of approval, the developer will have to build a publicly accessible trail adjacent to the park. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
In the Imperial Valley city of Brawley, demolition has begun on a historic water tower, affectionately known as El Tanke. KPBS Imperial Valley reporter Corey Suzuki says residents have been saying their goodbyes.
Last weekend, a scattering of fireworks lit up the sky above Brawley as dozens of people gathered at Hinojosa Park for one last evening dance under the water tower. The tower has been a landmark in Brawley since the 1930s. It once served as the city's water supply, but has been inactive for decades. City officials considered turning it into a historic landmark, but ultimately decided to move forward with demolition. Now, they're finally starting to take it down.
As I would walk to school, I always used to think that the Tanke was gigantor, that it was looking over me, protecting me.
That's 67-year-old Max Reyes. He grew up in Brawley. In a video posted to Facebook, he said he used to stare out the window of the classroom, imagining the tower was a giant robot from the cartoons he used to watch.
As the Tanke leaves us, I will mourn it as I would a friend, a good, close friend, that I know his time has passed, and I'll cherish those memories.
Reyes hopes the city will replace the tower with a stage or something else that will bring residents together. In the newsroom, Corey Suzuki, KPBS News.
Loneliness and mental health are major concerns for adolescents today. KPBS arts producer Anthony Wallace looks at a new UK approach coming to San Diego that uses a very old kind of medicine.
Starting next month, teenage patients at San Ysidro Health will get an unusual prescription.
Patients receive a prescription for 12 doses of arts and culture to be utilized over a 12-month period.
Chris Appleton is the founder and CEO of Art Pharmacy, an Atlanta-based group bringing social prescribing to San Diego. With nearly 200 local arts partners, young people can choose from
Museum of Us, Oceanside Museum of Art, San Diego History Center, the Dance House, Disco Riot.
Social prescribing is still uncommon in the U.S., but it's been growing in the U.K. for years.
The UK has been the first country to have a whole national program of social prescribing.
Its prominence is thanks in part to the work of researcher Daisy Fancourt from University College London.
There's now a phenomenal amount of literature that looks at engaging in the arts and other cultural activities and demonstrating really tangible long-term benefits to health.
And it's not limited to mental health. Studies show arts activities reduce inflammation, balance hormone levels, and improve blood pressure. For young people especially, the benefits can be long-lasting.
When adolescents engage more in the arts, it actually helps to improve their levels of self-control. And this then is related to lower engagement in antisocial behaviors like crime or substance use.
Art Pharmacy started in 2022 and has brought its model to 7 states. They focus especially on young people dealing with anxiety and depression and older adults dealing with loneliness and chronic illness. It's taking off because it works, both medically and economically.
We see reductions in behavioral health hospitalizations. These are very expensive costs for healthcare payers.
Appleton says they will start in San Diego with several hundred patients and hope to expand to more health systems soon. Anthony Wallace, KPBS News.
Anthony Wallace also produces the KPBS podcast, The Finest. It's all about the people, art, and movements redefining our region's cultural identity. You can listen now at kpbs.org/thefinest or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Amna Nawaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, the latest from President Trump's meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska. That's coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
New key data is showing costs rose sharply for producers and manufacturers last month. It's a potential sign that higher prices could soon trickle down to American consumers. Ivan Rodriguez breaks down the latest numbers from the Producer Price Index and what it could mean for the larger economy.
The prices that businesses pay for the stuff you buy is heating up. The latest Producer Price Index, which measures the average change in prices paid by producers over time, jumped 0.9% from June, lifting the annual rate to 3.3%, according to Bureau of Labor Statistics data.
On today's data, it looks like wholesale manufacturers on things like machinery are really struggling with tariffs, and so it's going to be that kind of detail going forward that's going to help us determine where prices are getting higher.
Thursday's readings far exceeded economists' expectations for prices, rising by just 0.2% in July and 2.4% annually. Earlier this week, the Consumer Price Index for July showed that falling gas prices limited the average price consumers were paying overall, but that goods affected by tariffs kept getting more expensive.
The CPI print, that's more backward looking than this data. This tells us how producers, how companies are thinking about pricing going forward. So it's more of that forward looking data, and it's painting a picture of prices going up.
Ultimately, economists believe businesses will have to make a decision whether to pass down the increased costs they're facing to the American consumer. It's a decision Stu Leonard Jr., president and CEO of Stu Leonard Grocery Stores, says he struggles with.
The retailers don't want to raise prices. We're sometimes get choked a little bit by what we are allowed to buy it at and what we have to retail it at in the store.
Ivan Rodriguez, KPBS News.
If you feel like everything is getting more expensive, that's because it is. The new Bureau of Labor Statistics report shows San Diego's inflation rate was 4% in July, the highest in the nation. One of the main factors was housing. Prices are nearly 5% more expensive this year compared to this time last year. Economists say another contributing factor is federal immigration policies, making it difficult to fill some jobs.
If you have been a shortage of labor, that means you're going to have to pay higher wages to get people to work. And again, that could translate into higher inflation as well. And then San Diego being a border community, we may be impacted more than other communities.
Food prices, especially meats, are continuing to go up. Healthcare costs are also rising. But energy prices like gas are down compared to last year. The rise of generative AI has led to a rise in lawsuits over copyright violation. Artists and illustrators say their images are being appropriated as AI crawlers roam the internet for content. KPBS Sci-Tech reporter Thomas Fudge has more on what's going on and how artists are responding.
San Diego artist Jose Iturriaga taps his imagination to create moody images of dark skies and landscapes of magical horror. His style has allowed him to work as an illustrator and a movie set designer, but something is trying to copy his distinct artwork. The copycat is artificial intelligence.
What the AI training models do is basically scrape all of the internet, like everything up and down, and basically steal all this art and then put it into a blender, and then something else comes out.
What comes out of the AI blender can be the very same images or something else that copies the artist's style. The software that combs the internet for data are called AI crawlers, and there are ways to block them. A program by Cloudflare rearranges the data so AI doesn't recognize an image. But Elisa Luo, a cybersecurity researcher at UC San Diego, says technology is not a long-term solution.
It will, of course, always be a cat and mouse game. Like if Cloudflare comes out with this new feature that is even more comprehensive and sophisticated, then the more malicious AI crawlers and will try to adapt to this and try to circumvent it.
San Diego artist Patrick Ballesteros is an artist whose whimsical, childlike images have made him well known to visitors at Comic-Con. He says the theft of images is a real problem, but AI can play a legit role in the industry. For instance, helping an animation artist do in-between poses.
You're making an animated movie. There's someone that does like key poses, like my arms are up, my arms are down, right? And then there's someone else that comes in that has to animate every little pose that goes in between it, right? That's called the in-betweens. Many artists don't like to do that because it's like, oh, that's boring work.
That could be a job for AI, he says, as long as the key artists on a project know what's going on. The Concept Art Association has lobbied for a bill in California that would require that artists be told if their work has been put into an AI data set. Dina Eigelsrud, the association's lobbyist, says it could be one way to prevent artists from losing work and being replaced.
As the crawlers steal from them in the present, the data that they take is then used to replace them and devalue them in the future.
The issue is in the courts. Disney has sued Midjourney and its AI-powered image generator for copyright infringement, alleging they copied Disney characters without permission. Thomas Fudge, KPBS News.
In just weeks, Amtrak will be getting a major upgrade on the East Coast. But it comes after federal funding was pulled for a major rail project here on the West Coast. Here's Brian Abel with a look at the state of high-speed rail in the U.S.
The East Coast Corridor route getting that major upgrade is the Acela line. It connects some pretty major cities, Boston, New York, as well as Philadelphia, Baltimore, and D.C. But what's missing from the bigger picture is a connection to other major cities across the country like Chicago, Kansas City, Dallas, Denver, all the way to California. That may be changing, but if it does, will anybody ride it?
A long-awaited upgrade will roll out on Amtrak's Northeast Corridor August 28th. Modern interiors for 28 new Acela trains running from Washington, D.C. to Boston at a top speed of 160 miles per hour. The Acela line, a rare success story for high-speed rail, not seen elsewhere in the U.S.
It's in a market where trains can definitely be successful. That's not necessarily the same when we start looking at some of our larger population centers throughout the rest of the United States.
Like on the West Coast, former California Governor Jerry Brown pushing for high-speed rail back in the 80s. Despite voters approving roughly $10 billion in 2008, it's yet to be built.
Once you make the commitment, it then becomes a question of, do you have the political will to see through the investments?
At a national level, that will appears to have jumped the tracks. Just this year, the Trump administration pulled the plug on both $4 billion in funding for California's rail project and $63 million for a project connecting Dallas and Houston. And experts are skeptical a proposed cross-country line from New York to LA will ever gain steam.
I struggle with believing that we can build out a rail network that competes effectively with air.
And that cross-country route would take about 3 days, and that is why Mattingly says it'd be good for tourists, but maybe not other travelers. We should note that California is suing the Trump administration, saying that they are illegally pulling out of their obligations with the rail project there. In Washington, Brian Abel reporting.
Going through the upcoming days, we will have some changes in our area. You're going to start to see a lot of the temperature readings go up as we talk about a warmer setup. to come through for next week. First off, though, we've got a cool Saturday on tap for us. Thicker marine layer, too, as we head into it through tonight. And then next week, that's when the numbers will start to uptick a little bit. First tonight, 65 for the low in the city as you head towards Oceanside, 64. Borrego Springs holding on to 68 for that overnight temperature. As we work our way to the wider pattern, though, you can see why all of this energy pushing into the northwestern U.S. It has made for a different pattern in cities like Seattle and Portland, for example, who typically are quite dry for August, but it also suppresses a lot of the heat, which means we will not be quite as hot, at least to start off the weekend. 72 in the city for tomorrow's high. Lots of comfort there. And Chula Vista coming in at 72. Go to Mount Laguna, we're at 70 degrees, and Ramona holding on to 84. Good amount of sunshine coming through. Again, thicker marine layer, so it might take a little longer to burn off some of those morning clouds. But the days to come, less of a marine layer, and the temperatures will gradually go up. At the coast, not any quick changes here for us as we venture to the upper 70s on Tuesday, but a little bit more notable inland. So we start off tomorrow in the upper 70s with some sunshine out there. But as we go through a time here, notice your Sunday and Monday warming up through the 80s. By Tuesday, we're back into the upper 80s, close to 90 degrees. So this is where we start to really warm up towards the middle of next week. And that's going to be similar in a lot of locations. The mountain communities, around 70 degrees as we head through your Saturday. Sunday is still looking pretty nice here in the 60s and close to 70 degrees on Monday. But then by the time we get into Wednesday, we're back up close to 80 degrees. Desert communities, they don't get quite as much variability with that heat coming through. We're going to stay in the 100 to 105 range as we head into the upcoming week. For KPBS News, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Melissa Constanzer.
Next week, La Jolla Playhouse will unveil its latest world premiere musical, The Heart. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando takes us behind the scenes to discover how a play about a human heart came to life.
Human organs usually aren't the leading characters in a play, making La Jolla Playhouse's The Heart the exception that proves the rule.
Yes, this is a world premiere musical which takes place during 24 hours in the life of a heart.
Christopher Ashley is the artistic director at La Jolla Playhouse. He's also directing The Heart and has been guiding it through its long evolution.
The two composers, Ian and Ann Eisendrath, and I started out about a decade ago working on a musical about a heart transplant based on different source material.
But that material began with a heart recipient waking up from surgery.
But, you know, that is sort of the other end of the journey, and as always in life, the journey continues, but we realized we were really missing the real conflict that leads to the resolution of a heart beating in somebody else's body.
That's when book writer Kate Kerrigan suggested a French novel called Men the Living.
And we realized, oh my gosh, this book ends exactly where our other show started.
Good morning, everyone. 19-year-old male, a car accident near Tourmaline Beach, unconscious on arrival.
And because this show has so many more perspectives, it's basically anybody that has agency with the heart, from the parents to all the medical team that are so invested in not only this person's life, they have all these people around the world that need these organs, and it's a pretty crazy roller coaster relay race.
7 a.m. Shift change.
But definitely, it's got a time clock on it, right? Like, we have to get this transplant accomplished in a given amount of time. So the pressure on the parents to decide whether or not to donate their son's organs, really moments after they discover that he's in a coma.
The final cerebral angiogram will take place in 2 hours. Take some time to think about it.
The whole thing is under the pressure of that clock.
The human heart also provides the play with its musical pulse.
Vitals, blood pressure, and heart rate are stabilized.
Well, what if we use electronic music to tell this story? You know, a heartbeat is a kick drum in a way. It's that 4 on the floor, you know, 120 BPM right inside of us.
Most people's heart rate is like 65 or 70, but yours is 60. And this beat is 120 BPM. Double your heart rate.
In the book, Juliet, the girlfriend of Simon, who passes away, she was an artist in the book. And I think, like, as we got deeper and deeper into the electronic music, I think it was Kate that was like, well, what if she was a DJ?
The DJ, who's a major character in our show, has the ability to control heart rate in a lot of ways because you speed up the track. The energy of the room speeds up, and just that crazy correlation between music, heartbeats, and that was just really exciting to us.
Juliet's DJ is on stage driving the beat, but so too is the play's music director, Wendy Bobbitt-Cavett.
Well, our music director's on stage, cueing the whole thing together with the actors. The theatrical work of the show is very exposed and is sort of part of, I think, the fun and the interest of it. The play happens in a 22-foot square, with sort of all the real-time action.
And it's action driven by a human heart, a potent symbol in our culture.
It's hard to talk about it without making a metaphor or a simile about, let's put more heart into it as in rehearsal. But there's also something about like the idea of when someone's been injured, the generosity of donating your organs so that other people can have further and better lives.
I think it's a time when people are feeling really helpless right now with what's going on in the world. And I think one of the messages of this story is that everybody can make a positive difference.
It's a great moment to tell a story about taking care of each other.
You're my heart.
You're mine.
Ashley and his team are racing their own clock to make final tweaks before The Heart makes its world premiere next week. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. I'm John Carroll. Have an excellent evening and a wonderful weekend.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.